moving into, I call it expressive dog. And this is the down dog that you're actually probably more familiar with seeing in images, older images of modern postural yoga. And the downward facing dog shape starts to look back bendy. You melt your heart, you reach your heels. And it can be compressive in the shoulders, so not everybody's gonna do the full variation. And please, 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 when you try this at home, don't push into a sense of pain. So remember, discomfort that feels like kind of hurts so good, you know, that's a good edge to work, but the kind of pain that feels sharp or hot, it's never smart. Your body knows the truth, and if you'll listen, you'll be safe. So we'll go through a sort of few different movements to explore this expressive, extended version of downward facing dog. Okay, so let's come into our structural, what did I call it? Sustainable down dog first, sustainable down dog. So this is downward facing dog. She's gonna have her ears floating inside her biceps instead of dropping her head. Her armpits are a little lifted. Her ribs are drawing in, hips moving back, sit bones widening, okay? So that's your sustainable dog. And then she's gonna start to move a little bit. So she's gonna inhale forward to a plank very slowly, and she rounds forward, which is beautiful. You can try that, unfurling at the last possible moment so that the heart broadens. Yep, and then back to down dog. You can exhale it back. And the ears will land just in between the biceps. So inhaling forward to plank, and as she does this, she curls like a cat. She rounds and rounds and rounds and rounds. And then she hugs her forearm bones in as the collarbones broaden apart at the very end. Good, back to down dog. We'll do just one more round. I hope you knew you were gonna work out today a little bit. Curl in, think cat pose. Think cat pose, like a seashell curling in. And then at the very end, the collarbones broaden. And back to down dog. Good. And now the extended variation is for her to actually go into her maximum range of motion here in flexibility. So she's gonna sink her heart. She's gonna drop her head completely, right? So you can see that this could get compressive. It doesn't necessarily get compressive. Chelsea, how's that feel for you? Feels good, okay. And this isn't a place that I would want you to do this kind of pose. I wouldn't want you to do this every time you come into down dog because it doesn't always build stability, like we said. But it's a beautiful place to try to explore that big extension, that big stretch. Now a modification here is for her to come to her knees and take her knees just a little bit wider than hip distance. I prefer a little wider than hip distance, but keep the thigh bone perpendicular to the earth, so it's not gonna track back or forward. And then she's gonna take her hands wide and melt again, her chest down. Now this is what we call a lot of times puppy pose. And I like for you to keep your hands really active, your forearm bones off the earth, not dropping down. Again, energy into the armpits, a little lifted, but then you imagine the heart melting, heart melting, heart melting. And for Chelsea, I would even say turn your head to one side, and she could alternate. So, whoa, she's pretty flexible. She can really drop. Again, if you feel sharp shooting pains, this is no bueno, but if it just feels like that dull ache, then you want to stay with it, and you want to breathe and wait. Okay, you can turn your head and take another breath on the other side. So puppy pose, also called anahatasana, which means melting heart, speaks to the fourth chakra. So we settle down into the base of our own compassion in this pose. And then she can come forward into Sphinx. I'm going to move over here. So she comes down onto the belly, separates her feet a little wider than hip distance, elbows under the shoulders, so now the humerus is perpendicular. Palms can be on the ground, or you can bring your palms together. I like that, just feels a little more prayerful. There is a rooting down into the forearms to traction the heart forward and up, and then a softening of the spine if you can. If this feels compressive in your back, again sharp, then you can engage your belly a little bit, so you lift the navel, and you can squeeze your butt just a little. If it feels like a good kind of ache, still a little uncomfortable but manageable, then you're going to soften completely for 3 more breaths. And while you're here, the jaw needs to be loose, okay? The tongue settles, so you're not pressing it up against the roof of your mouth. The eyes are soft. You coax breath into the kidneys. You coax breath into really the whole back line of the body all the way down to the toes. And then she's going to stack her hands, elbows slide out to the sides. big breath here, breathing into either side of the SI joints. And then hands under the shoulders, she'll push back. Big toes together, knees out to the edges of the mat. And then she's just gonna rest here in child's pose. So, not a full sequence, but you could do it as a mini sequence and definitely drop in.